I want to extend a special welcome to our guest, the Honourable Premier Furey, Honourable Minister Stoodley, Anne-Marie Boudreau from the St John's Board of Trade, and everybody who made time to come here today. Just before we get started, I'd ask you all to keep your masks on while you're seated. So without further ado, I'm going to call upon the Premier to say a few words.
Thank you, Minister. Good afternoon. Thank you all for taking the time to join us today here at this beautiful backdrop. And it's a real privilege and honor to be able to announce the Newfoundland and Labrador Vaccine Passport, NL Vax Pass, and the NL Vax Verifier, our province's vaccine passport system. It's fantastic to see businesses and organizations so engaged in this process as we need to figure out life with COVID-19. And please know that your patience, opinions, and input have been extremely valuable to us here in government in developing this app. Special thanks, of course, to the Department of Digital Government and Service NL, and to the Health and Community Services in particular. Minister Haggie and Minister Stoodley, for your unwavering commitment to rolling out this important tool to help keep our economy going, to help allow people to get together safely as we try to navigate life with COVID-19. We are excited to launch the NL Vax Pass and NL Vax Verifier today, two smartphone apps that help make a new day in life with COVID-19 in Newfoundland and Labrador. As of 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, residents and businesses will be able to download them from the Apple and Google Play app stores. The COVID-19 road we are traveling is certainly long, and it has been challenging. There's no map, but there are tools to help guide us. And Newfoundlanders and Labradorians, with the incredible leadership of Dr. Fitzgerald and Dr. Sevier, who's here today, and their team at Public Health, have stepped up time and time again to keep each other safe and help protect our communities from COVID-19. Our vaccine passport apps are tools in our public health toolbox that will help stop the spread of the virus and help allow a new normal, albeit not the same as before, life with COVID-19. As of tomorrow, residents can download the NL Vax Pass app to use with their IDs to provide proof of being fully vaccinated when entering certain businesses or venues, basically for non-essential and recreational activities. Minister Stoodley, of course, will explain how the app works shortly. And there will be a full list of where they will and will not be required on our website. To give some examples, though, right now, you will need the vaccine passport for gatherings in a community center, restaurants and bars, gyms and dance studios, hair salons, indoor arenas, and for faith-based gatherings. You won't need the vaccine passport to access essential health services, retail stores, public transit, or ferries. To give residents and businesses the time to learn more about our vaccine passport, we will be implementing a 2-week grace period to download the apps and become more familiar with their use. You can begin using them right away, but after 2 weeks, it will be mandatory. For those of you who don't use smartphones, not to worry. You can also request a paper copy of your vaccine passport or a card-sized version, which you can keep in your wallet. Businesses and organizations will download the NL Vax Verifier app, which they will use to scan the vaccine passport of residents when entering their establishments. We know vaccines work, and they have for hundreds of years. The first vaccine goes back to the late 1700s. Imagine how different our life would be, or how different the world would be in general without vaccines for measles, mumps, rubella, polio, smallpox, and the list goes on and on and on. The COVID-19 vaccine has been proven to be effective and safe in reducing the spread and severity of the disease with COVID-19. We have seen that now firsthand here at home and indeed across the country. Today, in Newfoundland and Labrador, more than 81% of those eligible have received their 2 doses, and almost 90% have received 1 dose. Those are incredible statistics, but our next goal is to get over 90% of eligible residents doubly vaccinated. To this end, we are eliminating barriers to increase the number of clinics available in rural areas of our beautiful province. And we will do whatever it takes to ensure that all Newfoundlanders and Labradorians who are eligible to receive COVID-19 vaccinations have that opportunity. On Bell Island, for example, today, Eastern Health will be using a medically equipped van, which will go door to door if necessary, to administer vaccines to those who are unable to attend scheduled clinics. Once again, we will do whatever it takes to protect Newfoundlanders and Labradorians, to protect hospital capacity, to help us all breathe a sigh of relief, and to enable life to continue in these turbulent times. There is no life without COVID-19. There's no future without us dealing with it, including, by the way, some people who will occasionally get sick. The strategy can't be elimination. It has to be mitigation. Once fully vaccinated, your NL Vax Pass is your proof of protection, not just for yourselves, but for others as well. We are all in this together, as we have been from day one. So please utilize this tool to allow us to continue a new life. With that, I'll pass things now over to Minister Stoodley.
Thank you very much, Premier. Last time I was in this room, I sprained my ankle playing pickleball. I just had a flashback walking in, so hopefully I escape unscathed today. So thank you, Premier, and good afternoon, everyone. As Minister of Digital Government and Service NL, I'm proud the role my department has played in coordinating the development of a vaccine passport solution here for Newfoundland and Labrador. A tremendous amount of collaboration has gone into delivering this technology solution. I would like to give an extra special shout out to NILCHI, the Newfoundland and Labrador Centre for Health Information. I know their teams have been working round the clock to make sure this works for everyone in the province, as well as the OCIO, the Office of the Chief Information Officer. Both the teams, I know all the other teams as well, but they've really gone above and beyond for this particular rollout, so I really appreciate all the work that they've put into it. Our vaccine passport is another tool to help us live with COVID-19, to help keep businesses open and adjust to a new normal. We understand the importance of engaging the hospitality and business community in this process, ensuring they are fully aware of the vaccine passport apps and how they work. We have had numerous consultations, we have listened to our stakeholders' many concerns, and we have together hopefully answered and resolved most of these. We will make this work for everyone. As the Premier stated, there are 2 smartphone apps, one for residents and one for businesses, and these will be available on the Google App Store and the Apple App Store tomorrow, Friday morning, 8 o'clock, or if not before. And so also as of tomorrow morning, if you go to the COVID-19 site and the vaccination record button, you will be able to download your new QR code, which will work in the Vaccine Passport app. So the NL Vax Pass is the app for residents where you store your vaccination record QR code. You can also store the QR codes of your family members or friends if you're traveling together, if they give you consent to do that. I believe you can keep up to 20 other people's, in your family or your traveling companions' codes on there with you as well. So there are multiple ways to add your vaccine record to your NL Vax Pass app. So the first one, tomorrow morning, or you can wait a few days, but if you want to try tomorrow morning, you can download the NL Vax Pass app, and from there you'll be able to, if you have your MCP card, you'll be able to do everything you need to do to add your vaccine record and be good to go. The second option, you can download the app. You can also go to the COVID-19 site, download your vaccine record there, and then it's really easy to upload it to the app, or you can also if you had a printed copy, you can scan over it to add it as well. And the third way, you can log into MyGovNL, and if your MCP is linked to that account, you can download your vaccine record from there as well. So there's a few different ways to do this, and they'll all work, and it's really easy, and you'll know when it's in there. And so NL Vax Verify is the verifier app that will be used to verify your vaccine record QR code displayed on the screen. So if I have the resident app downloaded, the NL Vax Pass, I go to a business or an organization, they use the NL Vax Verifier app to scan what's on screen in my app. So no login or sign up is required to download or to use either of these apps. There's no cost, they're free to use. So if you're using the NL Vax Verifier app as a business or organization, you simply hover over a QR code of another, either on screen or a printed copy, and it pops up and it shows a big green block or a big red block. Essentially, green means the vaccination status has been met according to the public health rules, or red means the vaccination status has not been met. And you yourself, when you have your app, you'll know whether or not your vaccination record meets the public health rules or not. So it won't be a surprise when you go to an organization. You can see that yourself. And so all the details and FAQs will be on the COVID-19 site tomorrow. So if you don't have a smartphone or tablet, if you have a computer, you can print out your vaccine record QR code from the COVID-19 site or from MyGovNL and get a paper copy, and you can show that to an organization. There'll be 2 download options. So one, you can download a full page, or if you want to download a small wallet-sized version, you can cut it out and stick it in your wallet. So either work just as well as the other. And if you're still thinking this doesn't make any sense and you have no idea what we're talking about, our friends at the Newfoundland and Labrador Public Libraries are ready to assist across the province. So we're really thankful for the extra work and training that we've put in with them. And as of tomorrow morning, there will also be a 1-800 number for residents, as well as a 1-800 number for businesses to call. And if you don't have any means of downloading and printing a copy of your record, you call this number and we will mail you a printed copy. And so it won't be a fancy card, it'll be a printout, the same thing you can print out online, but we will certainly get that to you within a few days. So I've been getting calls and emails from people asking, if they're going to get in trouble tomorrow. So absolutely not. Tomorrow is the start date, and as the Premier mentioned, there will be a 2-week grace period. So we fully acknowledge that there will be a learning curve for some people with this. And as you get your vaccination record, either on paper or on your device, please keep it protected. This is, even though it looks, like a QR code, don't post it on social media. Protect it as if you would your MCP card. I'd also recommend that you only use our apps, the official Government of Newfoundland and Labrador apps, when adding your vaccination record, and also as a business or organization scanning. We know there are other apps out there trying to, do malicious things, and so it's important that everyone only uses the Government of Newfoundland and Labrador apps. And other provinces have theirs as well, which you'll see when you go in the app stores. So NL Vax Pass and NL Vax Verify are tools in the public health toolbox which will help us live with the virus, keep businesses open, and adjust to a new normal. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Minister Stoodley. Throughout the world, this province is no different. We have been learning to live with COVID and adapt to the challenges of changing information. The thing we do know is a single biggest tool in our toolbox to move things nearer to the normal kind of life that we want is vaccination. The 4th wave has arrived here. We've seen clusters across central Newfoundland. 2 doses of an approved vaccine is your best protection. It protects you, it protects your family, it protects your kinfolk. It significantly shifts the nature of any disease you might catch in the form of COVID when you're vaccinated. It moves it from a severe disease to a mild disease. For those people who get a severe dose, as it were, of the infection, it makes it more survivable and less likely for you to require an intensive care unit. The more people we have vaccinated, the safer each of us is individually as well. and that's a personal choice to be vaccinated. But equally, this process with the two apps protects the public, it protects the workers, and it adds to the safety of all of us by using it. Now, the choice to be vaccinated will affect your access to elective, to non-essential businesses and activities. It is a crucial step along the road to getting back to nearer normal. So with that, I'd like to invite Anne-Marie Boudreau from the St. John's Board of Trade to make a few comments.
Thank you, Minister Haggie. The team at the St. John's Board of Trade works very hard to listen to what our members need and to advocate for them at all levels of government, and the consultation on proof of vaccine has been no exception. Overall, our members are highly engaged and full of productive ideas, providing feedback to the provincial government to ensure we can roll this out as smoothly as possible and with everyone's safety in mind. I believe we're all in this together, and that we all have a role to play, and that we can all be helpful in protecting each other and our economy, and the St. John's Board of Trade is committed to doing that. Last week, we hosted an engagement session so that our members could learn more about the plan for the mandated vaccine passport. Our members will be very pleased to see that many of their ideas have been implemented into this final plan. I would also like to take a moment to share some thoughts on the importance of supporting business here at home. Businesses have been working diligently to keep all of us safe and serviced. When many of us were safely at home, our business owners and their employees were on the front lines, providing our groceries and other goods and continuing to deliver excellent customer service. Our business owners have managed every health restriction and mandate quite efficiently, and I'm confident this will be no exception. Please don't let this measure deter you from shopping local. Businesses here at home are supporting our economy. They employ your neighbors and friends and family. I would love for all of us to turn to businesses here at home first for our shopping needs. In addition, our restaurants, coffee shops, and pubs are experts in providing exceptional service, and enabling this vaccine passport will be an added layer of safety so you can feel even more comfortable enjoying what they have to offer. Please remember to be kind to businesses as they adopt this additional safety measure. In closing, I'd like to thank our business community for continuing to show your resilience in enacting all of the COVID-19 mandates. I'd also like to thank the Government of Newfoundland and Labrador for allowing us to connect you with our members and for incorporating their valuable input as you make these essential decisions. Thank you.
Thank you, Anne-Marie Boudreau. So that really draws to a close the formal part of our lunch here today. It is an important day for our struggle to live with COVID. Remember, this tool is simply another one to allow us to reduce the burden of illness, the burden of death due to COVID-19, and protect all of us by each of us protecting the other. We need to get to 90%. We've said that at our media availabilities. We're nearly there. It's up to you. So get your shot today and download your app tomorrow. So thank you very much.
and swells are but a part of me. Quietly, hauntingly, mystically moves the sea. Light and darkness and a mystery. Troubled vision of eternity. Timelessly, heartlessly, terribly moves the sea. And oh, how sad must be the tale she tells of those who lie deep in her spell. See you serve, but moan in mastery. Rage and cry and stir the depths of me. Set me free. Let me see. Let me be the sea. Oh, the sea, my very soul's the sea. Tides and swells are but a part of me. Quietly, hauntingly, mystically moves the
The following program is brought to you by Rogers Anyplace TV. Enjoy exclusive content for free. Visit RogersAnyplaceTV.com.
If you have a comment about this program, we'd love to hear it. Email or call us, or send us your feedback through social media.
Hey everybody, what's up? It's your boy DC, and I am the Thursday night host of St. John's local tradition, Out of the Fog. You know, local matters here on the show, and from arts and business, not-for-profit, anybody doing anything great to make our province a more rewarding place to live and work. It all happens right here in the studio. So join me and my boy DJ Slim Macho every Thursday night for Out of the Fog.
It was my daughter's birthday. She was blowing out the candles on our cake when we heard coming from the TV. So we stopped and listened, and it helped us get to safety. That's why when I think of my daughter's birthday, because now she gets to keep having them.
Hi, I'm Carl Wells, getting ready to record another edition of Carl Wells Point to Point. It's a program where I chat with members of our community, and they talk candidly about their lives and careers, from their earliest dreams to their greatest triumphs. I think you'll find it informative and entertaining. Please join us for Carl Wells Point to Point, right here on Rogers TV.
I'm Darren Han. Please join me for Pocket Universe. On this show, we'll showcase artists, cosplayers, gamers, and discuss all topics of sci-fi, horror, and fantasy in Newfoundland and Labrador. This place is teeming with creative people who love to talk about their passion. That's Pocket Universe, Wednesdays, 8:30 p.m., only on Rogers TV.
It was our 35th anniversary. To celebrate, we were on our way to Mama Rosie's, where we had our first date. That's when we heard coming from the radio. So we stopped and listened. It helped us get to safety. So when I think of our anniversary, because now we have even more to celebrate.
I'm Lynn Hammond, and welcome to Out of the Fog. Our ocean is an important part of our economy. Tonight, my guest is CEO Kendra McDonald of Canada's Ocean Supercluster. So first, let's find out a little bit about this incredible organization. Join us after this video.
Longest coastline in the world, fourth largest ocean territory, and significant Arctic territory, Canada's biggest asset is also its biggest opportunity. Our ocean story has a long history that has helped shape us as a nation, providing a source of food, energy, transportation, business, and a way of life. Today, in the face of a $3 trillion global ocean opportunity, we are answering the call for sustainable economic growth. Striving for balance and expanding ocean opportunities while also addressing ocean health. We are building solutions to shared ocean challenges for the global market, developing cutting-edge ocean technology, facilitating greater connectivity, increasing data exchange, expanding talent, capability, and diversity, and making this the best place to start and grow an ocean company. And we're doing this by bringing ocean industries together in a way that's never been done before. Leaders in fisheries, aquaculture, offshore resources, transport, defense, marine renewables, bioresources, and ocean technologies are working together to rapidly innovate, commercialize solutions, reach global markets, and grow the ocean economy. Together, we are advancing Canada's position as a global leader in ocean. Canada's Ocean Supercluster, changing the way ocean business is done.
everyone. It is Jason Piercy, host of Out of the Fog on Tuesday nights at 7:30. You're definitely going to want to watch because you never know what I'm going to get into. It's all about community. It's all about you. So watch Tuesday, 7:30.
Rogers TV, St. John's.
And we're back with Kendra McDonald of Canada's Ocean Supercluster. Kendra, thanks so much for being with us today.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you. So now in this position, maybe, is it 2 or 3 years it must be?
2.5, yeah.
Wow. And so for the viewers at home, can you tell them what is Canada's Ocean Supercluster?
Sure. So a few years ago, so 2018, there was the Innovation Supercluster Initiative. Okay. So what that led to, what Canada was trying to do was change our reputation as an innovation nation, which is not actually very good. And so what they wanted to do was invest in certain areas in the Canadian economy where we really thought we could grow and compete globally.
Okay.
And so Canada's Ocean Supercluster is one of those. And what made the Ocean Supercluster special was that we were trying to get different sectors of the ocean economy working together that had never worked together before. So fisheries, working with aquaculture, working with offshore oil and gas and bioresources, and trying to solve problems together instead of solving problems themselves, and really felt that if they could do that, then we could really develop some exciting solutions that would be relevant to the world.
And so what does this mean for the economy? I guess it's mostly important for the provinces that have ocean economies, right? Or is it?
So that's a great question. I think that, so one, we're trying to grow the ocean, we're trying to grow the economy for Canada. That is really what we're trying to do in terms of at the base. This is we're economic, so jobs and economic growth. I think it's relevant to all Canadians. If you actually think about the relevance of ocean, every second breath we take comes from the ocean, whether you live in the middle of the country or whether you live on the edge of the country. So all the decisions that we're making, all the solutions that we're developing, any growth to the ocean economy is relevant to all Canadians.
Right, so it's also about ocean health then. It's not just about extraction of resources from the ocean.
Yeah, so there's no conversation right now that can happen around economic growth in the ocean without thinking about ocean health. The ocean is under tremendous pressure at the moment in terms of the challenges that we're facing, whether that is ocean acidification, whether that is sea level rise, or the many, many things that we hear about our ocean. And actually, a more productive ocean is also a healthier ocean. So we have incentive to work towards a healthier ocean also for economic growth reasons.
Okay, so there's about 50, or is there 50 projects that have been approved so far? I think 28 are announced? Or
28 are announced, yep.
So what are some of those projects?
Yeah, so we are really trying to, so we say we're changing the way ocean business is done. And so we talked about collaboration already, sort of that idea of working across sectors, but we're focusing our investments on things that help to make our ocean economy more digital, that make the ocean economy more sustainable, which we just touched on, and more inclusive. So if you think about some of those digital solutions right here at home, so we have a Digital Offshore Canada project. So that's led by Petroleum Research Newfoundland and Labrador. And what that is looking at is building a platform for digital twins. And so a digital twin is like a virtual replica of an ocean asset is essentially what that is.
Okay, so what's an ocean asset?
So the platform, different assets that sit on the platform, a ship, an aquaculture pen, anything that sort of is on the ocean. And what that allows you to do is actually remotely monitor, make different decisions around maintenance, improve operational efficiency, improve sort of productivity. And what that should also allow to do is, by better decision-making, reduce emissions.
Okay.
So that's an example. We have another one, which is Genoa. It's our first coast-to-coast collaboration. Genoa, working with C-SPAN. They are also looking at a digital twin, in their case, in the shipping space, and that's for vessel maintenance and management, as an example. So there's a couple examples in terms of digital. If you look at sustainable, again, I'm pulling 28 is a lot to talk about, so I'm trying to pull the ones that are closer to home.
Just to give us kind of some context.
So Ocean DNA, so that is led here by EdDNA Tech. and that is looking at genomics, right, to be able to take DNA samples and change the way that we're actually looking at fish and doing sampling. You look at our Ocean Aware project, which actually includes, so it's led out of Nova Scotia, but it includes Ocean Choice International, and it includes Marine Institute, and it's looking at tracking, so being able to track fish movement and fish health, again, to be able to improve decision-making and better outcomes. And then in terms of inclusion, a couple of examples. So Smart Ice, again, here at home, is looking at how to educate and deploy technology in Inuit communities to be able to, improve technology skill sets, as well as the Indigenous Career Pivot Pilot, which is actually looking at one of the challenges that we found was Indigenous workers who were mid-career had trouble pivoting into a career in the ocean economy. So this does matching based on skill set between companies that are looking to hire and Indigenous workers and creating new opportunities for them.
Excellent. So let's just stay with that, the conversation of Indigenous peoples, for example. Often they have in the past been left out of the resource economy. But I know, for example, in Labrador, there's been long conversations about, why aren't we using elders and people who have that traditional Indigenous knowledge in the research? So that's something that, you're well aware of and something that's being incorporated into projects.
Yeah, so there's all kinds of pieces to that, but certainly when we think about data, right, and we think about better data for decision making, we need to think about Western knowledge and Indigenous knowledge. Right. And how do we bring those together so that we're making our decisions based on a holistic set of data? So that's one piece, and we're doing some work in there. And our data projects are looking at how to be able to think about that and to be able to include that. But it's also from an economic development perspective. So having, like Nunavut Fisheries, for example, is part of the Ocean Vision project. We have an Indigenous representative that sits on our board. We have an Indigenous working group that is helping to drive a strategy for what we are doing around Indigenous. And then we have our programs that are actually like the Indigenous Career Pivot Pilot, or our Blue Futures Pathway is another example, where Blue Futures Pathways is looking at creating 2,500 opportunities for mentoring in the ocean economy for 18 to 30, and they have a focus on Indigenous youth.
Excellent. And so diversity overall, as the economy grows, I would expect, there's going to be opportunities or expectations to identify areas where women or people with disabilities or other people have an opportunity to be involved in the ocean economy. So maybe, are there specific projects or?
Yeah, so I think that when we just talked about some of the big challenges that are facing the ocean. So we need as many big thinkers as we can possibly bring. And I think diversity of thought leads to better solutions. And so we have our Ocean Allies project as an example. That is a collaboration of a number of partners across the country. It includes Pangeo Subsea as well as Oceans Advance here in Newfoundland and Labrador. And they're actually looking at what are some of the barriers that are just causing it to be a challenge. And certainly for me, when I look at, we have lots of traditional industries in the ocean. We're short on gender and underrepresented groups. Then you combine that with technology, which is also short on gender and underrepresented groups. So we have a real risk, unless we focus on this as a challenge, that we will not have the diversity of workforce that we need to take our ocean economy into the future.
And so, how is that going to be tackled? I mean, it's, I guess, from that senior level of big thinkers, but is there other ways that has to be tackled?
Yeah, so the Ocean Allies project is one. So they're identifying gaps, but they will also identify some recommended solutions. And we will also have a starting point to say, hey, is what we're doing working or not working in terms of moving the needle? And then we have the specific programs like Blue Futures Pathways, which has a focus on making sure that on Indigenous, in terms of Indigenous youth and engagement. And then we have in our specific projects, they're looking at ways to be able to engage underrepresented groups, right? So if you take our Ocean Startup Project, which is trying to increase the number of startups that we have, they're also making sure they have a founder that is Indigenous as part of that program.
Fantastic. Well, we're going to take a quick break there, and we're going to show the people at home just kind of a summary of some of the, incredible progress that's happened over the past 2 years. Join us after this break.
I'm Darren Han. Please join me for Pocket Universe. On this show, we'll showcase artists, cosplayers, gamers, and discuss all topics of sci-fi, horror, and fantasy in Newfoundland and Labrador. This place is teeming with creative people who love to talk about their passion. That's Pocket Universe, Wednesdays, 8:30 p.m., only on Rogers TV.
If you only knew what I'm going through, I just can't smile without you.
And we're back with Kendra McDonald, CEO of Canada's Ocean Supercluster. You know what? That's a mouthful, Kendra. So OSC, I guess that's what you call it in-house. Is that right?
That's correct. Yep.
Yeah. And of course, I joked earlier, you weren't part of that branding. They did that before you came.
They did, yeah.
So let's talk about local. Locally, Newfoundland and Labrador, the ocean, fishery has long been, the mainstay of our economy, now oil and gas. But, this is a national initiative, but what are we seeing locally for benefits?
Yeah, so I think, so everything you've said, we've built our history and our economy, certainly ocean being a big part of it. I think you had Vianne Timmons was one of your guests. She talked about the fact that 40% of research at Memorial University is actually in ocean, which I think we need to talk about that more. I think that's really important. And so while it is a national initiative, we're established in Atlantic Canada. And so we've got a lot of great projects where we have either companies here in Newfoundland and Labrador that are leading that project or that are participating in those projects. And so if you look at our ecosystem as an example, we have some really strong things that happen here. We've got the Marine Institute, you look at Seacor, you look at National Research Center, you look at what Technel is doing in terms of the startup community, Genesis, Oceans Advance, Oceans Holyrood. I know I'm going to miss someone and I'm going to probably hear about it afterwards, but there's a lot of really exciting things happening. And so I think part of it for us is connecting the dots in terms of the supply chain. So if I'm a tech company, how do I understand the ocean opportunity and participate? If you take CoLab as an example. So CoLab is not an ocean company, it is a tech company, but they are leading an ocean supercluster project. They are partnered with companies like Kraken and Genoa, who are supporting the growth of a CoLab. And so they see the opportunity to build their technology and grow in ocean as a sector. So there's lots of examples of those. I talked about Dock and Petroleum Research Newfoundland and Labrador, but that project also includes VMT. It includes GRI simulations. It's got Hatch and it's got M&P. So again, you've got large and small that are working together, and you've got lots of participants that are here. But I think it's really important for us to recognize this is a global opportunity. This is a countrywide opportunity. So our ability to move fast and our ability to work together will make the difference for how we're positioned in the future of the ocean economy.
And of course, we all know the names like Genoa and Kraken. The more established, larger companies. What about for smaller businesses in Newfoundland and Labrador? Are there opportunities for them as well?
Yeah, so CoLab as an example that I just talked about. But yes, we actually have over 80% of our projects are being led by small and medium enterprises across the country. So while I think we were sort of established by some large founding organizations, what we've actually found is it's those smaller companies that have the innovative solutions that bigger companies are looking for. And so this is creating an opportunity for those companies to be able to develop their supply chain opportunities and increase their customer bases and be able to work together. And one of the things that we've seen globally is that they're looking to buy solutions. And so the more that our companies are able to work together and give them a full solution, the more exciting that is. So if you look at, for example, Kraken, and they're looking to work with Pangeo, both of them have world-leading solutions. And now there's a power in being able to bring those solutions together and go to the market in a different way.
Incredible. And so, you know, for a lot of companies, the COVID just, you know, halted them. You know, for other industries like mining, you know, the pandemic actually opened up opportunities. So, you know, for the ocean supercluster, what was the circumstance?
Yeah, so the ocean economy was pretty hard hit when the pandemic started. And so if you take, we'd be very familiar here, right, with oil and gas, and you had the price war as well as the impacts on operations. If you look at the fishery and aquaculture, you had no more cruise ships, or much more limited in terms of cruise ships. You had the decrease in demand in terms of restaurants, marine transport significantly reduced as a result of the
restaurants, of course,
impacts of COVID. And so we really felt it as an ocean economy. So we had to ask ourselves, up until then, we had about half a dozen projects, and they were bigger projects. And we said, you know what, how can we be relevant as everyone is really thinking about what the pandemic means to them? How do we get companies to continue, especially small and medium enterprises, to continue to invest in innovation when they're feeling, you know, all that is happening with the pandemic on their business? And so we launched a call. So we actually have what's called an open call. You can just apply whenever, and we evaluate your project against a set of criteria. So we actually had a competitive call, and we ran that over an 8-week period. We weren't sure when we started how much interest we would get. We got over 200 expressions of interest.
Wow.
And went through that process. And so since then, we've done a couple more calls. And what we really tried to do, it was smaller projects, so lower dollar value, smaller, shorter timeline. We focused those projects on things we thought would be relevant in a COVID world. So it was digital technologies, remote operations, and environmental technologies. And that took us in a year from sort of 6 projects to 50 projects.
Wow.
And so it really, I think, was the right thing at the right time in terms of our companies. And the other thing that we saw for us with COVID is, you know, our Canadian geography is a challenge when companies think about working together. All of a sudden, we were all virtual. So we didn't get into, is that event going to take place in Newfoundland or Nova Scotia or Central Canada or West Coast? It was all virtual. And so what seemed really hard in terms of being able to work together across the country actually got easier. And that's really exciting.
Yeah, and you know, that's something that I've noticed as well. Things that I may have taken part in or may have liked to take part in, I couldn't because of geography, and it really has opened up a whole new way of working.
Absolutely.
But of course, you've talked about partners, but what about staff? Like, how many people around you make all of this happen?
Yeah, so we think we've got 22, 23 today's count, and we're in 6 cities across Atlantic Canada. So, you know, 2 years ago, we were a handful of staff. So we've had a lot of growth in the team to be able to support the activities, but we keep them very busy because there's lots to do.
Amazing. And so for your background, how did you get here to this position? I mean, you know, it's, you know, it is definitely, you know, kind of the first of its kind. I mean, certainly in Canada, potentially, you know, maybe internationally. So what brought you to this? You know, did you have a background in ocean industries? Like, what's your
Yeah, so that's a great question, and one I get often. So there are lots. So this cluster model is not new. Like it exists around the world. There's lots of clusters. What Canada tried to do was a made in Canada solution as a super cluster, right? And so what we see around the world is more at a sector level. So you've got an energy cluster, or you've got an aquaculture cluster. We tried to put that together and say, how do we work across sectors? In my case, my background, I'm an accountant. I'm an accountant by background. So there's not an obvious path to leading an ocean cluster from being an accountant. I worked with Deloitte. I was with Deloitte for almost 25 years. I started with them as a co-op student, so it was a big change. But I started getting really interested in innovation. And so I was on Deloitte's Innovation Council. I joined the board of Tech NL, previously Natty. I was the chair of that. During the transition, I actually was also acting CEO of Tech NL for a few months. And so I really got passionate about the importance of technology to the country, where we needed to go as an economy. And so someone said to me, if you really care, here's this job opportunity where you can really drive some change and really build on what you're trying to do around innovation, as well as bring all of your, because it's also government funded, all of your risk and controls and governance and accounting background, which will also be important. So it was a weird mix of taking all my skills and interests and putting them together.
Yeah, and I mean, your previous positions were kind of much more, I'll call it, behind the scenes, whereas, you are the face of this organization. You were recently, I'll just make sure I get it right, one of Atlantic Business Magazine's most powerful women in business. So, I mean, that's an extraordinary thing to be recognized for moving such important things forward. So how do you feel about all that? Like, that's...
Yes, I mean, it's pretty overwhelming and exciting. I think it's a testament to the work that the entire team has been doing to drive, and I think it really demonstrates the importance of the ocean economy, not only to Newfoundland and Labrador, not only to the region, but to the country, and the actual power of that, and what it means for the future of Canada, and what we can do. So, I mean, we have built this thing in a relatively short period of time, and it's getting lots of global interest. We're helping companies get noticed internationally. We're creating a door into the Canadian ocean economy. So it is, I think, a nice recognition of the difference that we're starting to make and that we're trying to make.
So what's next for OSC?
Yeah, so this is an incredibly important year for us because we're really taking all of those projects that we now have approved, all the ones that are contracted, and really starting to see them roll out and execute. And so in terms of the teams they're putting together, in terms of achieving their milestones and what they're trying to achieve, building so they're trying to, across our project portfolio, create over 100 products, processes, and services. Wow. And so now it's really making that happen. And so this year will be incredibly critical to a lot of those projects that were just contracted to actually start to deliver on what they said they were going to do, which is really exciting.
Wonderful. So thank you so much for joining us today.
It's a pleasure.
And thank you for joining us. We'll be right back after these messages.
Call the Rogers TV viewer response line, email us, or connect with us on social media.
Our ocean is going to be such an important part of economic recovery in Canada. Thank you so much to Kendra McDonald, CEO of Canada's Super Ocean Cluster. Join us next time on Out of the Fog.
About this program, we'd love to hear it. Email or call us, or send us your feedback through social media.
Hi, I'm Carl Wells, getting ready to record another edition of Carl Wells Point to Point. It's a program where I chat with members of our community And they talk candidly about their lives and careers, from their earliest dreams to their greatest triumphs. I think you'll find it informative and entertaining. Please join us for Carl Wells Point to Point, right here on Rogers TV.
Leonard Thompson, 13 years old, diabetes mellitus, 65 pounds.
Starve the child to let them live? The treatment's as cruel as the disease. It's a death sentence.
Dr. Banting, this could be it. He's the first to receive this trial. But will it save him?
It's not pure enough. So we try again. And again. And again.
Before the discovery of insulin, diabetes was a death sentence. Banting, Best, Collop, and MacLeod's breakthrough has saved millions of lives. Leonard Thompson's was the first.
You're watching Rogers TV, St. John's.
If you want convenience, Marie's Mini Mart is here for you. A one-stop shop for a variety of products, home-style breads, sandwiches, plus check out our freshly baked artisan breads and single-serve desserts exclusively at our in-store bakery on Frecker Drive. With 25 locations, wherever you go, there we are.
Yellow Belly food means fresh food. We source our ingredients locally and prepare them from scratch. Our meat is never frozen. Food's so delicious, we've got Good Times Corner. Yellow Belly Brewery, a proud sponsor of One Chef, One Critic.
Today in my kitchen we have the battle of the Newfoundland versus Irish musicians. Let's see whose performance comes out on top. Hi, welcome to Scoff Off. I'm your host, Brenda O'Reilly. Scoff Off is a lighthearted cooking competition where we take two guests, a secret basket of ingredients, and 20 minutes on the clock. And today we have two fantastic guests. Oh my God, no strangers to me and most people, of course, in Newfoundland. We have two singer-songwriters, musicians, performers.
Chefs now.
Cooks. Chefs. Larry Foley.
Hi, Brenda.
Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
And Kevin Evans.
Thanks,
Brenda. It's lovely to be here.
Well,
Kevin Evans, whoever that is.
That's a lovely kitchen.
Thanks. So, Kevin, do you get a chance to cook at home very often?
I do, a lot.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And what's your favorite kind of things to cook?
I'm a big stew man, big soup man. But I love cooking pork and all kinds. I love the barbecue, love the Instapot, best thing ever
Don't
made.
forget your vichyssoise that you make on a weekly basis.
That's one of the specialties, the old vichyssoise, and I noticed there's leeks.
Well, yeah, that's an Irish staple though, right? So, and Larry, what about yourself? You got 4 youngsters.
I have 4
so
children.
I know you have to cook.
I cook all the time.
Yeah.
I cook more in the winter than I do in the summer. I do a bit of finger cooking in the summertime. But the way I cook is what's there. So this is probably going to work out well for me.
Okay.
I'll look in the fridge. Like sometimes I'll just do veggie pasta or something.
So this sounds like improvisation is your...
I'm a one-pan kind of guy. I get my onion and my garlic going and whatever else is in the house then, and it tends to go in one plate.
It looks like we're in for a good competition today. Stay tuned to Scoff Off.
Do you know, I think we should do it again. Cook. Now, because I'm starving. I don't know about you. I got to bite of something.
Let's have a re-Scoff Off.
Yeah.
Hi, welcome back to Scoff Off. Okay, guys, before we open the basket, I'm going to go over the rules.
Oh, rules?
There's a few rules.
Rules.
Okay.
It's a competition, right?
Oh, sorry.
So there's 30 points in total, 10 for taste. Very important. 10 for presentation and 10 for the use of your basket ingredients.
Okay.
So you have to use everything in there, but you don't have to use all of everything in there.
Okay.
Okay? And of course, there's a pantry behind you and in the fridge. You can use whatever you want there to enhance your basket. So please feel free to help yourself. If there's something you want and you don't see it right away, ask me, because time is of your essence, so don't spend too much time looking for something.
A cooked meal, would that be good to ask me? A steak?
That's right. And over here is your pots and pans, okay? So behind you to the pots and pans. All right, let's open the basket.
Yeah, the pots and pans are over here, Kevin.
Your basket.
Okay.
Are you in there?
Okay,
all right.
Okay, so we have cilantro.
Cilantro loves it.
I do too. I don't love the smell of it.
Put that in ending.
And you have
Slaw.
a cucumber,
Salad.
and some tortillas.
I thought, good. The minute I saw the tortillas, I was in. I use flatbread a lot.
I didn't know what to do. I was like, what I really was like, oh man, now I'm tied to these freaking pita breads or whatever, tortillas, right?
All right.
Okay, guys?
Well
Collect your
then.
thoughts. It's time to scoff off.
Are we away?
You're away to the races.
All right.
I should be playing the Up the Pond song now. Exactly. So, Larry, we said at the beginning, of course, you have 4 children.
I do.
How old are they?
They're 4, 5, 6, and 9.
Wow.
I know. Well, once you're outnumbered, it doesn't matter. Once you got to get a minivan to get anywhere, it doesn't matter. You might as well have 10 after you have 2, is how I look at it. So,
now.
I know.
That sounds like a lot of work.
I want some of that.
No.
Oh, Caesar, as you go by.
Here, Caesar,
They're
I'll
busy
share
already
with you.
gathering their protein, I guess.
Thank you very much.
You stole my chicken.
Because as you can see, yeah, go right ahead. As you can see, I didn't put any protein in the basket, so you're going right for the protein right off the get-go.
I'm off to a flaming start. Here we go.
Yeah. So do you cook with propane at home?
Do I what?
Do you have a propane stove?
No.
Yep.
Yeah.
Of course he does.
Propane is fantastic.
Of course he does. Of course he does. Kevin has everything. He's that guy that has every gadget in the world. He has a blender that makes soup.
He's such a cuddly person, you know, for as loud as he is, and for banging and snorting and just talking gibberish, he's a lovely fella.
No, we're lucky to have either one. We have the one we have is a glass thing on it. You know, it's just a regular range with a glass. And a babysitter came over one day and was getting something on the fridge and cracked it right.
Oh no!
Yeah, so that was expensive babysitting afternoon right there, right?
So what about cilantro, Kevin? Are you a fan?
Yep, big fan.
Big fan, me too. I find people are polarized with the cilantro. They either love it or they hate it. Do you like it?
I love it. You
I
put
like
it on
it too,
anything.
so it's good. It brings everything to life.
Yeah, it is. It has such a fresh essence about it.
Yeah.
There you go. See, Kevin.
So
I know what I'm
Oh,
talking
you got an
about.
onion. Whoa.
So I'm going to talk to you about your musical careers now while you try to cook. Don't lose any fingers.
No, I'm good.
So Kevin.
Yes.
You're originally from Ireland.
I am.
Dungarvan, right?
Dungarvan, County Waterford.
Okay, so now you're living in Newfoundland. So before we get to how you got to Newfoundland or why you're here, when did you come to Canada?
I came legally in 1980.
1880.
I was living.
Okay.
I was living in the States before that.
Okay.
And we started touring Canada. So I fell in love with the place. But we ended up being more in Canada than in the States. So eventually moved here.
So when you say we, you mean Evans and Doherty?
No, Brian was already here. Brian had come over with Barley Bree, another group. You probably know Barley Bree, of course.
Yes,
and he was already over before I came over legally.
Okay.
But we were back. But we met while we were touring.
What and
Oil.
Okay, so right there in the middle, yeah. So when you say you were here, like you were here illegally, what does that mean?
No. I wasn't living here, but
He still is.
But we were spending enough time here that I could have been living here.
Yeah.
So I became a landed immigrant in 1980.
Right.
1980.
And so are you a Canadian citizen now?
I am.
Ah.
And everywhere else, it seems.
One of the proudest moments of my life, July 1st, 2007.
Well, congratulations.
Yes.
Yeah.
Here, actually.
Here in Newfoundland?
And here in Newfoundland.
So what brought you to Newfoundland? I mean, you spent most of your Canadian life in Nova Scotia, right?
I did. I married a young woman from here who actually had seen when I was touring with Macon McClancy. We played the Arts and Culture Centre, and she was at the show, and I met everyone that was with her party except her that evening. And then I met her in Nova Scotia when she moved over, and we got married, and I moved back here, and I love it.
Oh, fantastic. So I'm going to get back to Tommy Macon, Liam Clancy in a bit. I want to talk to Larry about his career. Of course, Larry, I know you're from the beautiful town of Placentia.
Historic Plaisance. Yes, indeed.
And so, like, you know, what got you into the music industry?
That's a good... Well, like most things in my life, it was upside down. I went away to... I always played a bit of guitar in high school. Never really got, you know, just like probably every teenage boy does. And when I went to university in Antigonish, Nova Scotia.
Yep.
And I guess sort of part homesickness and part being there was something, sort of a confluence. There was a Celtic music kind of thing there. People played bagpipes and fiddles. And
yeah.
So I kind of got into just messing around, playing a bit. And to tell you the truth, it was homesickness was a lot of it.
Right.
You know, I sort of all of a sudden started listening to Liam Clancy, Ron's
Right.
Fancy. And oddly enough, Evans and Doherty...
You do know they're not from here.
Oddly enough.
Yeah, I know, but still, it's still down-home music to me.
I know,
It's what I was reared on. You too, Brenda.
When I moved to Alberta, though, I started listening to, like, Roy Payne and stuff like that, because...
I always had an affinity for the doublers, but I guess Liam Clancy and that... I mean, I grew up... I think it bears mentioning, probably grew up on a bit of that... that
we do have tongues, you know.
Brenda, I'm used to working with what I got, which is usually not very much.
Wish. You want a pepper? I know you do.
And so,
Not
Larry,
now.
when did you start the Punters?
It was in '94. So fast forward, I was in Antigonish for 4 years, and got involved in playing folk music there, and
got it. Yep.
And then I graduated there, and I went to graduate school in Cork, Ireland.
Right.
So while I was over there, I got in touch with Seamus Cray, who was a well-known fiddler who had lived here.
Yeah.
Totally by fluke, I met up with him in a pub one night. They had just moved back to Ireland from
It's really
here.
odd to find an Irish musician in the pub.
Very odd.
Yeah.
Very odd. So, one thing led to another, I started playing a fair bit with him. And when I came back, also while I was over there, I met a friend of mine, Jason Whalen, who's an original member of the group.
Yep.
And
great bouzouki player.
He's a great bouzouki player, great musician.
Mm-hmm.
And we were introduced by Sean McCann.
Right.
Of ex-Great Big Sea fame.
Yeah.
So, like I said, odd little confluences. So we said whenever I came back from Ireland, maybe we get something on the go.
Yeah.
So it was a kind of thing just for the summer. And here we are 25 years later.
Amazing.
It's insane, really, when you stop and think about it.
It is
What did you do
amazing.
with the peppers? You took them all, didn't you?
No, there's peppers there, yeah.
I'll take this.
Yeah, it's amazing. And so 25 years for the Punters.
It was 25 years last June, yeah?
Yeah.
Going on 26 years.
That's super amazing.
You know a little bit about some of that.
Well, I certainly do. I think the very first band to ever play at O'Reilly's, outside of my beloved Ferguson Dermot.
On the same night.
On the same night was the Punters.
It is. Yeah, that's a feather in my cap.
Yeah.
To have opened with Dermot and Ferguson, I wouldn't say the open first, we shared the stage. So that was one of our main firsts. We were the first band to play O'Reilly's. We were also the last band to play Memorial Stadium.
Right.
And the first band to ever play Mile 1.
And the new O'Reilly's?
Before it opened, yes. But before Mile 1 was open, we did a gig in the afternoon for the Builders.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
That's
so,
cool.
Anyway, a few little firsts.
Yeah, I love
the
the Celtic rock of the Punters.
Well, I guess we were really when we got around to it, it was largely influenced by the wonderful grand band. I suppose some of what Figgy Duff did too. That sort of bass and drums and electric guitars.
I'm going to get back to you in a minute and talk about some of your influences, because I know who some of them are for sure. I've known you for a long, long time. Same with Kevin. But Kevin,
what happened?
You're
Wasn't me.
You're songwriting. So
I am.
Yes, I know you're a songwriter, and you one of your songs, Christmas Memories, has gone gold and platinum.
Yes, both.
Right, gold and platinum.
Luckily,
and
yeah.
Of course, it was recorded by John McDermott.
Yes.
Beautiful song.
I actually wrote that song.
I know.
At John McDermott's request.
Oh.
And John was recording a Christmas album. He said, "Can you write me a song?" I said, "Sure." Actually, what he said first was, "Do you have any Christmas songs?" I said, "Sure," which was a big fat lie, because I didn't. And he was almost finished the album. And he called me up and said, "I didn't get your song yet." So this was a Tuesday. I wrote the song that night. I recorded it Wednesday, a demo of it.
Right.
Good demo.
Yeah.
And this is back in the day they had to courier something to people, so it got couriered off Wednesday evening. He got it Thursday afternoon. He recorded it Friday afternoon. Pretty cool.
And that's amazing.
And it went.
So you clearly worked well under pressure, so that will work with cooking here today.
Well,
So
do you know, the funny thing is that I've always found, at least, I like working to a deadline. Now, this is a ridiculous deadline, but that's okay. We're okay with it. Salt
You're doing
and pepper.
well. It's clear right here. Larry has it in front of him.
Yes.
Oh, I like what you're doing there, Larry.
Yeah.
Don't go
Like
looking
it a
now.
lot.
Don't go
Like it a
looking too
lot.
hard.
No, I'm not going to look at it at all.
Larry is not.
I'm keeping it
He's
easy.
not shy in the kitchen either. I can tell by the way he's using his knife for everything.
Everything. Oh, one thing only.
Stirring.
Yeah.
Chopping.
Yeah, I don't have time to get anything else. So she's coming home. I was late starting. You know how it works.
So, Kevin, I want to talk about, and I'll get to Larry then about his influences, but Of course, we all know who Tommy Makem and the Clancy brothers, Liam Clancy, and all of them are here in Newfoundland.
They're not from here, you know.
I know.
No.
But we adore them.
Touché!
We do adore them. And of course, you had the pleasure of playing with them.
I did.
And
for over 30 years.
Yes, and you got 10 minutes left.
Perfect.
I know, it's crazy how fast it goes, right? So, you know, I always wanted to meet Tommy Makem. Never got the chance to meet him. Never missed him once when he performed here. As long as I was, you know, able to go.
Brenda, where's her ketchup?
In the bottom drawer.
Where?
Ketchup gets, you know, bad rap. It's very useful in sauces or anything. I mean, the most active ingredient besides tomato in ketchup is nutmeg. So it does bring a, you know, to your flavor story if you want to get into it.
Ketchup, mayonnaise, mustard, elixirs of the gods.
Right here by Kevin, in the bottom drawer, there's another.
Kevin, you're hiding stuff on me.
Excellent.
Do you see the ketchup? Okay.
Oh, I just lost my mic, boys, but I'm going to fetch it now.
So there's a joke about the ketchup. Before the show started, the ketchup was in the fridge in the way. I said, no one's going to use that. And I put it down there in the bottom fridge.
Now.
And he goes, where's the ketchup?
What do we got here?
I told you I'm used to working with whatever's around, and ketchup is always around.
So, back to Tommy Makem and Liam Clancy. Like, what was he like? I want to get a little inside on what Tommy Makem was like.
Tommy was great. Tommy really was like one of the best. I mean, he wicked sense of humor.
Yeah.
Very dry.
Right.
Very dry. He didn't drink.
Very Northern Ireland. Didn't drink. Never drank in his life.
Never drank.
No, he was a part of the Pioneer Club.
And
no way.
He played the part of a drunk in various plays on Broadway and on film, and he was the best drunk ever. Never had a drink in his life.
Wow, that's amazing.
It is so. Now, condiments.
And Larry, what about your influences? Because I do know that you
influence is funny
obviously.
enough. Well, I mean, I'd say from folk music, yes, Makem and Clancy, huge. But probably none greater than Ryan's Fancy for me.
Right.
And you know what? It's funny. But Kevin has been a huge influence on my playing my entire life.
Right.
And I discovered him while I was at St. X because they were. Well, sort of probably like, you know, really kept the flag going there for Celtic traditional music for a long time in the 80s. And a friend of mine at St. X gave me Live at Lunenburg. I tell this story all the time. And Kevin's guitar playing and singing just really like blew my mind. And so I tell him all the time, when I was young, he was my mentor. And now that we're older and I get to play with him, he's my tormentor. Thank you. You just rattled the plate right on my punchline.
What was the punchline? I don't even know what the joke was. I was kind of, excuse me, I came here to cook.
I'm sorry, Grasshopper.
And now we get to play together, which is really cool. You know,
I mean, super cool.
You know, how do you gauge success in your career? For me, it's that I got to work with some people that I admired so much growing up and inspired me to do what I do. You know?
And I do know how much you do appreciate and respect Ryan's Fancy, but particularly Dermot O'Reilly.
Dermot was... You know, Dermot was just the best. He was so funny, he was so charismatic, and he was a fearless leader to all of us.
It's probably not open and it is okay.
Our whole generation, you know, I say like, you know, myself and Pat Moran and Conor Bryan, the Irish Descendants guys, Shiny Glock guys, like Billy Sutton, all that gang. He was such an influence on all of us because he was around and we got to go see him at your pub.
Yeah.
We were there every Wednesday night lined up like kittens, and that's how a lot of us learned. And same with Chris Hennessy, you know, another guy that I, you know, really, really respect and love the work of.
So, and of course, you mimic Dermot really well.
I do. I know.
Occasionally, you'll be inspired on stage.
I told Larry Foley a story, and he told me that he had heard that story before, but from a completely different point of view. I ran into Dermot in Texas.
I know.
When
that's your own business.
The Garrison Brothers, the group that sort of came out of the New Folk Trio. We were actually New Folk Trio at the time.
Right.
And when we were down there on tour, and Dermot actually came into the bar. He didn't, like, we kind of knew of him, he kind of knew of us. We didn't know each other a lot.
Right.
And one of the fellas in the band knew him because he was from Dublin. And they knew each other very well.
Whoa, fire.
Fire.
And that's flavor.
How are we doing?
We're doing well, yes. I would think probably about 5 minutes left.
Perfect. Yes!
Keep it down over there, will you?
I like it.
And so also, Larry, I do know that you do a lot of Ron Hyde as well.
Same thing, too. Grew up listening to him, then got to know him as an adult, got to work with him a little bit.
you know, and
you can mimic Bron really well as well.
Well, Bron, you know, depends on the time of day, really.
Go on now, go on, do them.
I love, like, Rich Little's Christmas Carol would come on every year, and I used to do W.C. Fields as a 7 or 8 year old and didn't even know who I was impersonating, but we'll call her as a heartache from a love lost to sea. That's a really good cucumber there, Kevin.
You like it?
Really love your stuff. It's really great.
So, Kevin, how many songs have you written in your life?
I'll go write another one the minute I get out of here, I can tell you that.
I can't wait to hear that one.
There's you just broom, right?
There's more.
How many?
Just one thing per
between 100 and 150, say.
Right.
I'm very fussy. I'm not a prolific writer. If I wrote 12 songs a year, that would be good for me.
Wow.
So I always look at that. That's an album a year.
If I get 2 I really care about and continue to sing the rest of my life, that's how I do.
Right. And how many songs have you written, Larry?
I don't know, probably.
Yeah,
I don't know. I would only say probably a 30 or 40, maybe. I don't know.
I gotta tell you, the new Punters album.
Yeah.
I'm gonna blow his horn
Kevin,
now.
stop.
There's a song on there called St. Johnstown.
Yep.
I think it's an anthem.
Right.
I absolutely think it's an anthem.
Well, that's high praise.
And we've been doing it lately.
Oh, you've been including your shows?
Yep.
Oh, wicked.
Well, we do play together quite a bit, which is great.
I force him to do it.
I sort of bring the music, and Kevin is largely sex appeal.
Largely.
Well, given our audience, the demographic,
large being the optimum word.
Our current demographic being what it is.
Well, we're missing the tourists this year, right?
Oh, boy.
This year, the year of the stupid old COVID.
But you know what? Let's blow your horn for a while. That was great. Thank you for what you're doing at our rallies and keeping live music going.
Oh, God.
You know, full on. I mean, I know it's a labor of love, and I'm sure sometimes it's more love than business, but it's greatly appreciated by all of us.
You know, and unfortunately, it's you know, I've always had more love than I cared about the money part of it. And now with COVID, the money part has been more polarized, right? Because there is none. It's like a lack of money.
It's pretty
but this has had a dramatic effect on the music industry, let's face it. Performing
crazy.
musicians and artists and traveling. I know tours are being canceled. So, like, you know, how are you making it through all this? Like, this is a challenging time for everybody.
That looks wicked, man.
Hey, presentation is part of this deal.
Wait a minute now.
I'm like this at home if I was cooking for the youngsters. I always make sure it's like...
Oh, you gotta make sure it's pretty, right? People eat with their eyes.
They do. They listen with their eyes, too.
They do listen with their eyes.
Here's what I'm looking for.
I'm going to throw some of this on, and failing that, I'm going to eat it.
So, Kevin, what about...
Jesus, it's not open.
I read one time that
that
you were a part owner of the Old Triangle.
Yes.
Are you still pub owner?
Still involved. The pub's still going great. There's 4 of them now.
Wow.
And you know all about that.
So with Brian, right? Brian Dorr.
Yes, Brian Dorr and his wife Cheryl.
Cheryl, yeah.
There were originally 3 of us and Cheryl involved. You know, well, we used to put forward the whole thing with the band, of course. You know, and then there were 2, and Cheryl, and you know that's where it sits right now. But Brian's young fellas, I think the whole point of it was way back when. Eventually, Brian's young fellas would like when the 2 old guys are kind of would take it over.
Oh, well, that's a good plan.
It's a great plan. Still on the go.
That's called what do you call that?
Legacy.
Legacy.
You're welcome.
I was thinking of succession planning, really, because I'm really boring, but I don't have that. See, I don't have any children, so I have no succession plan with mine. I'm not sure what I'm going to do.
Oh, I don't either.
And you got lots of children.
Hey, you'll get up there and say,
How we doing?
Larry, want to buy a pup?
How we doing? Are we doing?
All right, I'm done, boss.
Oh, you got 2 minutes left, Kevin, so you take the time.
Oh, no, I'm just looking for a bit of paprika.
Larry, did you ever have
I took it on. He's over on my side.
Larry, if you had the chance to pick someone to play with that you've never played with, who would that be?
Wow. That's an awesome question.
That is a good question.
I'm going to ask you too, Kevin.
Okay, I'm done. He's done.
I would... Dead or alive?
Dead. Oh, doesn't matter.
I think Richard Thompson.
Richard Thompson.
Probably. But then also, like... No, he'd be my folk guy, but my country guy would be Merle Haggard.
Right.
Or Dwight Yoakam.
Right, you love country just as much.
Yeah, well, they're one and the same in my mind, you know.
Very successful band as well, that you are the founder and front guy of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For also probably almost 20 years doing it.
How about you, Kevin? Who would be somebody that you'd like to perform with?
I know.
Okay, tell me. Oh, well, yeah, but
He's already doing that.
Seriously.
That's already
trouble
old.
with the memory. We do that every week. Well, I've been lucky enough to already have played with Richard Thompson, but I would play with him again. I think Larry is right. He is absolutely an inspiration. Great writer, very unique player. He's English though.
Well, that's
He's kind of north.
Can we drink some of this?
Yes, absolutely. Well, that was fantastic. Look, you're clearly both very well versed with the kitchen. Because I gave you 0 protein in your basket, and you managed to put out a main course.
Gentlemen, cheers. Lady, cheers. Cheers out there.
That was fantastic. I can't wait to try it. We come back.
Oh, you have to eat it. Oh, no. Oh, no.
Oh, mine's going to be deadly. I know it.
Find out who wins. Stay tuned to Stop Off. Welcome back to Scoff Off. Well, guys, that was fantastic. You clearly know your way around the kitchen, both of you. They both look different. This is more like a burrito-style looking tortilla thing, and yours is more like obviously it's a taco.
It's a food truck kind of deal.
Okay, so Larry, tell me about how you use the ingredients.
Well, oddly enough, I saw the shrimp, your cocktail shrimp in there earlier.
Yes.
And when I saw the coleslaw, even though I did so sort of consciously, I thought shrimp cocktail slaw.
Okay.
So that's why I got the mayo and a little bit of ketchup in there to give it a tomato zest, and a little bit of
remoulade sauce.
There you go. Thanks. Whatever you want to call it. And then you had the cilantro in there, which I knew would go perfectly with that, and it's a bit of chicken kind of.
So you got
fajitas, tacos, fajitas /
You got your cucumber in there. You use your tortilla, so you got all your ingredients.
All of my ingredients are in there.
Okay. Well, it seems you put the lemon there.
You gotta have a little of that on there, yeah.
Okay. I like the way you charge your tortilla. It brings extra flavor.
Yes.